T-minus 10, 9, 8,
The clock is
7.
operating. We're underway.
Tranquility Base here.
Endeavor, go at throttle up.
9 meters. Delta V. Okay, and after reverse maneuver, please change the display. Okay, copy. Can we do that now? Yes, you can do that now. Okay, let me change the display.
The fly-around that soon will begin by the Soyuz TMA-7 will bring it from a point directly in front of the International Space Station down the longitudinal axis of the complex to precisely align the forward docking probe of the Soyuz with the Pirs docking compartment itself. 2.5 kilometers away, everything proceeding well, closing at a rate of about 6 meters per second. Again, all of the operations of the Soyuz under the automated control of its onboard computers, all the pre-programmed engine firings and mid-course correction burns to precisely align the Soyuz for its docking to the International Space Station, performing well with no systems issues being worked either by the flight controllers here in Korolyov or at the Mission Control Center in Houston.
Anything on the periscope yet? And on VKU? I'm afraid that it's a little less than a mark. I'm not sure if that is it or not. Okay, maybe you can actually see the target. For some reason, I don't see it on the VSK periscope. I think the camera is a little more sensitive in the night pass. You'll be able to see us probably when we get into the daylight. Sunrise. We also think we see the dot to the right and lower than the center. Right, and I see that on VKU, but not on the VSK periscope yet. Copy. And on Baneo display, it showed 45 meters, actually 45.3 to be more precise. Yes, and actually that dot is very visible on the display.
On board the International Space Station in the Zvezda service module at the control panel, Sergei Krikalev, the Expedition 11 commander, able now to see off in the distance the Soyuz TMA-7 spacecraft at a distance of about 1.7 kilometers as the Soyuz closes at a rate of about 5 meters per second. That's the proper closure rate, everything on track for a docking that is currently scheduled at about 12:32 a.m. Central Time.
We are, do you see the picture on your VKU display with interference or not? Yes, with interference, but you're basically seeing what we're seeing. 1.5 range rate 5.0, and that matches with passive cores. This is Sergey. Yes, and on the display, I think we see the station lights higher and to the right of the center, but I don't see it on the periscope. Yes, but I agree, Valery, with you that you can barely see it in the night pass, but once you hit sunrise, you should see us. Yes, but on the VKU, I'm pretty sure that's the station because it should match with what the light locations should be of the station. And Valery, I agree with you. And we see maneuver in progress towards the left and down. And we saw on VKU that you actually went to the right and up. No, that's where the target went, up and to the right. Okay, yes, we concur. Depot thrusters are on.
Принято.
Copy.
Принято.
On board the Soyuz TMA-7, Valery Tokarev confirming that the small jet thrusters on the Soyuz have been activated for any small correction burns that may be required in the final phase of the rendezvous. The Soyuz now just 1 kilometer away from the International Space Station, closing at a rate of about 3.5 meters per second, all systems functioning well.
4 meters. SKD is off. Maneuver in progress message went away. Copy. Range 0.9, range rate 3.3. Copy. We should have a reverse maneuver in progress. Yes, but you see right now it's 3 degrees. Oh, yes, I see it on the display. You're right. All right, I see you now on the Veska periscope, and you are around the crosshairs half a square up, okay? And on the Veska periscope, it's just 1 dot, and I see you on the wingspan. And Rustet, sunrises, can you select display 34? Copy and work. And we see display 44. And we see 700 meters range, and range rate 3.24. The station is in the center of the crosshairs. Depots are on. Copy.
600 meters away from the International Space Station, this view from the external camera on the Soyuz TMA-7 spacecraft showing the International Space Station as Valery Tokarev uses it as a navigational data point, beginning the fly-around that will ultimately position the Soyuz directly in back of the Pirs docking compartment at a distance of about 150 meters for the fine-tuning and precise alignment of the forward docking probe on the Soyuz with the Pirs docking port itself. There will be a period of about 9 minutes of station keeping to permit that alignment to take place prior to the time that the automatic computers on the Soyuz will command the vehicle to resume its approach for the final glacial closure of that final 150 meters and contact and capture scheduled at about 12:32 a.m. Central Time.
Periscope at this time? Yes, I am watching it on Periscope, and it's a little to the left, 1.5 squares. But on VKU it's better visible. And right now range is 482. And this is Sergey. We see depots are on the Soyuz, and we're watching. I concur. This is Valery. Depots are on. And we're entering daylight at this time. This is Sergey. And
moving into an orbital sunrise, you can see the International Space Station. On the far right of the longitudinal axis of the station is the Progress 19 cargo ship, the resupply ship that has made it to the aft docking port of the Zvezda service module. Of course, the signature of the International Space Station, the large U.S. solar arrays from the P6 solar array truss structure and the radiators that dispel heat from the avionics of the truss structures of the International Space Station.
Matte screen
Принято.
or tape screen. Right now it's matte screen. Depots are on. We copy. And we have the fly around in progress. We concur, fly around in progress.
The visiting vehicle officer and mission control reporting and confirming what the Russian flight controllers have informed Sergei Krikalev on board the station, and that is that the fly-around is underway by the Soyuz TMA-7, moving down the longitudinal axis of the station, as you can see in this view from the external black and white television camera that will put the Soyuz in direct alignment with the Pirs docking compartment a short time from now for 9 minutes of station keeping.
On the course, range is 349. Range rate, decimal 9.
Принято.
Copy.
Принято.
And our accelerometer is off, is that correct? Yes, it's off. Range 300. Range rate, decimal 94. Moscow copies.
Принято.
And we're still in the fly around mode.
В результате градусов 20 осталось.
And we have about 20 more degrees left. Right. Range 254, range rate 0.9.
And this view now from the cameras on the International Space Station showing the Soyuz TMA-7 as it is now just 220 meters away from its docking to the Pirs docking compartment of the International Space Station. Again, a good view of the Soyuz TMA-7. You will see its jet thrusters firing periodically to fine-tune its alignment to the Pirs docking compartment for a period of station keeping that is scheduled to begin a short time from now. That station keeping will be about 9 minutes in duration. It could be shorter, pending the satisfaction by the Russian flight controllers here in Korolyov of the precise alignment of the forward docking probe on the Soyuz with the Pirs docking compartment itself.
The visibility. Range is 200, range rate decimal 8.
Если фара не помогает, лучше выключить.
Well, if the headlight doesn't help much, please deactivate it. Okay, will do. Okay, we're seeing the maneuver in progress. Range 170, range rate 0.85. Copy.
Valery Tokarev at the controls of the Soyuz TMA-7 as it rotates for its precise alignment with the Pirs docking compartment and a period of station keeping.
Maneuver.
Everything is going very smoothly. The Soyuz about 160 meters away from its docking port.
8.1. Moscow copies.
And you can see in this view from the S1 truss of the International Space Station and the lab television cameras on board the station, views of the Soyuz as it continues its slow, methodical approach for its link-up a short time from now. Docking is scheduled around 12:32 a.m. Central Time.
Copy. We have station keeping in the docking envelope. We have range 160 and range rate .04. Okay, please enter the command, but do not execute before we give you a go. Copy.
Russian flight controllers are reporting to Valery Tokarev that station keeping now is underway. The Soyuz TMA-7 about 160 meters away from the Pirs docking compartment, right on time, right on schedule. Tokarev now will enter into the onboard computers of the Soyuz a series of commands, but will not execute those commands until the Russian flight controllers here are satisfied with the precise alignment between the Soyuz and Pirs to initiate the final approach for docking. Everything looking very good, however, on board the Soyuz.
Moscow, Sunrise 1. Valery, this is VHF. This is Sergey. It's always like that. Understand. Sunrise, this is Moscow. Can you hear me? Yes, now I can read you 5 by 5. All right, your go to execute that command. Okay, executing that command. Moscow copies. We see final approach initiated.
And with everyone satisfied that there is a precise alignment between the forward docking probe of the Soyuz vehicle and the Pirs docking compartment, the final approach now initiated. Just a very short period of station keeping today for Valery Tokarev, Bill MacArthur, and Greg Olson. Final approach has been initiated. Now just 135 meters away from docking, you will see the Pirs docking compartment come into the sights of the crosshairs on this external television camera on the Soyuz vehicle itself, as it precisely aligns itself and moves in for its contact and capture to the Pirs and the final link-up between the two vehicles to form a hard mate once hooks and latches are properly engaged.
Square to the right and 2 squares above the center. Copy. Range 100, range rate .6. Copy.
A good view by external cameras on the International Space Station as the Soyuz TMA-7 slowly continues its approach for docking, now just 84 meters away, closing at a rate of about ½ meter per second. At the time of contact and capture to the Pirs docking compartment, the Soyuz will be traveling just about 1/10 of a meter per second.
Sunrises. This is Moscow. How do you read? Yes, the range right now is 76, range rate .4. Moscow copies. Range 69, range rate .34. Moscow copies. Right now we are at the axial interface on course 123. Com check, how do you read? Range 60. Range rate .3. Moscow copies.
That squeal you've been hearing is typical of the VHF communication system on board the Soyuz spacecraft as it moves within range of the structure of the International Space Station. The distance now just 55 meters between the Soyuz and the Pirs docking compartment, closing at a rate of about 0.2 of a meter per second. A good view of the Soyuz TMA-7, Valery Tokarev at the controls in the center seat of the descent module, the middle compartment of the Soyuz. To his left, flight engineer and Expedition 12 commander Bill MacArthur. To Tokarev's right is U.S. spaceflight participant Greg Olson.
Moscow, this is Sunrise 1. Range is 47. Range rate is 0.27. I'm watching the crosshairs. Copy. Moscow, how do you read SS ready? Message is on. We copy. And Valery, this is Sergey. I can hear you. So how do you read me? We read you loud and clear. And Sergey, I'm watching the crosshairs. There is a little swaying of the station, but they are aligned in the center. Very good. And this is Moscow Sunrises. How do you read me? Yes, this is Sunrise 1. I can hear you loud and clear. We copy. And we're watching the wide angle on the TV camera. Copy that, Moscow. And this is Sergey, but for some reason now we cannot hear Moscow.
On board the Soyuz TMA-7, the Core's automated rendezvous antenna has retracted as planned. Everything is going very well. There is a braking test that is being conducted to test the thrusters on the Soyuz that was pre-planned in the flight program loaded into the automated computers of the Soyuz, which is maintaining a good closure rate of about 0.2 of a meter per second, now just 40 meters separating the Soyuz from the Pirs docking compartment. The docking port, you again can see from external cameras on the International Space Station an excellent view of the Soyuz TMA-7 as it closes the final few feet that will enable Bill MacArthur and Valery Tokarev to reach their new home for the next half year, and for Greg Olson for the next 8 days of his own scientific and Earth observation program.
On the periscope, I see that the crosshairs are well aligned. We copy. On VKU, the crosshair is a little lower, but on VSK periscope, it's aligned pretty good. Okay, copy. Sunrises. VK display, is it on? I hear you with very loud interference. I cannot hear what you're saying. Yes, display the Web 5 that the antenna is retracted. Is that message there? Yes, it's there. Excellent. Range is 24, range rate 0.2, and the crosshairs are aligned on the periscope, but on the VKU display, they're a little misaligned. And that's fine. Valery, this is Sergey. That's normal. Okay, I will be monitoring on VSK. Range 18. Range rate 0.17. Copy.
Now just 18 meters away from docking to the Pirs docking compartment.
0.15.
Everything continuing to look very well as Valery Tokarev and his crewmates prepare for contact and capture.
The crosshairs are aligned. Moscow copy. Range 9. Range rate 0.17. Copy.
A very smooth approach by Valery Tokarev and the Soyuz TMA-7. Flight controllers here at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov standing by for contact and capture of the International Space Station.
17, the crosshairs are aligned. Excellent. Verify contact. Range 5, 0.17 range rate. Crosshairs are aligned. We copy. Range 4, range rate 0.15. Range 3, 2. Contact.
Docking confirmed. Capture confirmed at 9:27 a.m. Moscow time, 12:27 a.m. Houston time, as the Soyuz and the International Space Station passed over Central Asia. The new residents of the International Space Station have arrived at their home.
Sunrisers, please report on the rest of the activities. Understand? We have capture. Copy. Let's go to page 83 and continue to monitor the hard mate process.
A perfect approach, an on-time approach, in fact, just a few minutes earlier than had been planned, as Soyuz Commander Valery Tokarev, Expedition 12 Commander Bill MacArthur, and U.S. spaceflight participant Greg Olson have arrived at the International Space Station. Docking occurred at 12:27 a.m. Central Time, 9:27 a.m. Moscow time, as the two spacecraft, the Soyuz TMA-7 and the International Space Station, flew over Central Asia. The docking probe is now retracted. According to the visiting vehicle officer and mission control in Houston, hooks and latches will begin to engage each other to form a hard mate on either side of the docking interface, after which leak checks will be performed over the next 2 orbits or 3 hours prior to the time that the hatches are open between the two vehicles. We'll be standing by a short time from now for the post-docking news conference here at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov. Again, a smooth docking of the new residents of the International Space Station arriving at 12:27 a.m. Central Time, with contact and capture of the International Space Station.
МКС, МCC, Moscow. Sergey, I can hear you on the cover. Yes, but we... Here. We are preparing to... So there is a turn that you are working on. Yes, there is a turn. I can take it out.
Downlink television now being received through Russian ground stations inside the Piers docking compartment on the left side of your screen. One of the Russian spacesuits in the Piers. The hatch between Piers and the Soyuz TMA-7 soon to be opened to enable the 5 crew members to greet one another. Expedition 11 crew members Sergei Krikalev and John Phillips will be greeting MacArthur and Tokarev and Greg Olson with the traditional offering of bread and salt. Expedition 11 Commander Sergei Krikalev. On the right side of your screen, John Phillips. And hatches are now open between Soyuz and the International Space Station. as Krikalev urges the crew to begin to float their way into the International Space Station for the first time. Expedition 12 Commander Bill MacArthur, with a greeting for his Expedition 11 counterpart, the new commander of the International Space Station, now aboard his new home for the next half year. Soyuz Commander Valery Tokarev now greeting his Russian crewmate and counterpart Sergei Krikalev. And spaceflight participant Greg Olson now aboard the International Space Station, the third such spaceflight participant to engage in station operations. All 5 crew members now on board. Having floated into the Pirs docking compartment, now they will make their way into the Zvezda service module to receive congratulatory phone calls from NASA and Russian officials here at the Russian Mission Control Center. Posing for pictures from a pre-timed camera. Now the television camera will be reestablished in the Zvezda service module so that the crew members can accept the phone calls from the dignitaries on the balcony here in the Russian Mission Control Center overlooking the flight control room for station operations. This television view, as you look inside the Pirs docking compartment, as Valery Tokarev, the Soyuz commander who rode the center seat in the Soyuz TMA-7 during launch 2 days ago at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, and again who rode the center seat for today's rendezvous and docking of the Soyuz, leading the way, Greg Olson following him into the Zvezda service module. Now inside the Zvezda service module, the crew members setting up for donning headsets.
We're waiting for you together with Gregory here on the ground, and Valery and William. We are wishing most success in your endeavors and your work on orbit. All the best to you. So we don't have a lot of time, so I'm giving the floor to Mr. Gerstenmaier.
It's great to see you all on orbit. John, Sergey, Valery, Bill, and Greg. Have a good week and soft landing to the crew coming home.
Hey, thank you very much. And it was a great ride up here. We're really happy to see Sergey and John, and we're working on to see if we get them home on time.
Hello.
Hello? Sergey, can you hear me?
Это Севастьянов.
This is Sevastianov. This is Valery Sevastianov. Congratulations on the launch and successful docking. Tell our best regards to your American colleagues as well. Thank you very much. We certainly will. We're looking forward to seeing you on the ground on the 11th. On the 11th. See you.
Millionär Olsen ist der dritte zahlende Weltraumtourist der Raumfahrtgeschichte und zahlte 17 Millionen Euro für den Trip ins All. An Bord auch die Ablösung der Langzeitastronauten auf der ISS.
Die neue Langzeitbesatzung für die ISS ist heute an der Internationalen Raumstation nämlich angekommen. Pünktlich um 7:27 Uhr dockte die russische Soyuz-Kapsel nach 2 Tagen Flugzeit an. Mit an Bord ist neben dem US-amerikanischen Astronauten MacArthur und seinem russischen Kollegen Valery Toragev der amerikanische Geschäftsmann Gregory Olsen. Er ist bereits der dritte Weltraumtourist. 17 Millionen Euro hat Olsen für seinen Flug gezahlt. Als erster Laie wird er auch an wissenschaftlichen Experimenten dann mitarbeiten. Und in einer Woche wird er gemeinsam mit den derzeitigen Raumfahrern Kirkajew und Phillips auf die Erde dann.
You can see it's busy. If it's orange and moving, it's rain, and heavy rain at that. You still have a little bit of time if you're through Europe or the Middle East or this part of Africa to see the annular lunar eclipse. It's where the moon goes in part of the sun or goes across part of the sun, and it blocks out some of the heat of the sun as well. It's quite spectacular. Let me show you where you have to be to see it. Descend, please. Thank you very much. Nice bits of Africa, North Africa. You can see it through the Middle East. Perfect. Clear skies there. Iberian Peninsula, again, clear skies there. So you'll see a really almost perfect annular eclipse. And that's basically, go outside, look outside right now. This section of the world, you should be able to see it really.
Replacement crew have arrived at the International Space Station. Moving at about 1/10 of a meter per second, their Russian Soyuz spacecraft docked with the station early on Monday. Olsen is the third non-astronaut to pay $20 million for a trip to outer space. He will spend a week aboard the space station conducting experiments before returning to Earth in 8 days, with the crew currently working in the orbiting laboratory.
Die neue Langzeitbesatzung für die ISS ist nach 2-tägiger Reise an der Internationalen Raumstation angekommen. Mit an Bord ist neben 2 Berufsastronauten auch der amerikanische Unternehmer Olsen. Der dritte Weltraumtourist aller Zeiten bezahlte rund 17 Millionen Euro, um ins All zu kommen. Als erster Laie wird er auch an wissenschaftlichen Experimenten mitarbeiten. Er kehrt aber bereits in einer Woche auf die Erde zurück.
Ankunft im All. Die russische Soyuz-Kapsel hat sicher an der Internationalen Raumstation ISS angedockt. Der US-Astronaut William MacArthur und sein russischer Kollege Valery Tokarev werden ein halbes Jahr auf der Raumstation arbeiten. Weltraumtourist Olsen, hier links im Bild, wird nach 10 Tagen mit der bisherigen Besatzung auf die Erde zurückkehren. Inzwischen ist klar, dass der deutsche Astronaut Thomas Reiter nach mehreren Verzögerungen im Mai 2006 zur Raumstation geschickt wird.
Die russische Soyuz hat 400 Kilometer von der Erde entfernt die internationale Raumstation ISS erreicht. An Bord, neben der neuen Langzeitbesatzung, der amerikanische Weltraumtourist Olsen. Die Astronauten bleiben ein halbes Jahr. Millionär Olsen soll mit der alten ISS-Besatzung in einer Woche zurückkehren. Seltenes Naturschauspiel. Eine partielle Sonnenfinsternis konnten Schaulustige am Morgen sogar von Deutschland aus beobachten. Allerdings störten fast überall dichte Wolken. Mehr Glück hatten die Menschen in Südeuropa und Nordafrika. Dort schob sich der Mond vollständig vor die Sonne, von der kurzzeitig nur noch ein schmaler Ring zu sehen war.
sich im Laufe der Zeit um die Erde dreht oder genau genommen natürlich umgekehrt, die Erde sich um die Sonne dreht und das müssen wir jetzt hier nachführen.
Dann um kurz vor 11 der entscheidende Moment, das Licht deutlich flauer, die Temperatur gesunken und Holger Rendelmann ist plötzlich nervös.
Ja, die Kamera macht Probleme. Müssen wir erst mal sehen, was da jetzt mit ist.
Woran liegt es? Weil er nichts findet, befolgt er den Ratschlag des Kollegen, Batterie raus und wieder rein und geht wieder. Dann kurz darauf der Moment, für den viele tausende Kilometer zurückgelegt haben. Und die Laien auf dem Universitätsgelände genießen den Moment auf ihre Weise. Der entscheidende Moment dauert nur knapp 4 Minuten.
Ringförmigkeit vorbei, absolut genial. Ich bin total begeistert, hat sich alles gelohnt. Besser geht's nicht.
Ja, ich bin auch begeistert. Das war meine erste Sonnenfinsternis, die ich erlebt habe.
Und nur 2,5 Stunden nach dem Aufbau packt die deutsche Gruppe ihre Geräte wieder zusammen. Kurz noch bei den Niederländern Hallo gesagt und es geht wieder zurück in die Heimat. Das nächste Mal treffen sie sich zur Sonnenfinsternis im März in der Türkei.
Die Forschungsschritte waren kompliziert, die Sicherheitsvorkehrungen strikt. Die Rekonstruktion des Virus, das vor 87 Jahren über 20 Millionen Menschen getötet hat, ist eine wissenschaftliche Sensation. Zu danken genetischen Informationen von einer Frau, die damals in Alaska der Epidemie zum Opfer fiel und deren Körper im gefrorenen Boden erhalten blieb. Wir haben jede Vorsorge getroffen, das Virus unter Kontrolle zu halten. Wir haben das Ergebnis mehrfach überprüft. Es ist ein sehr wichtiges Experiment. Von der Katastrophe damals heute zu lernen, bemühen sich Mediziner und Gesundheitsbehörden weltweit. Angst vor einer Vogelgrippe-Epidemie bewegt auch die Politik. US-Präsident Bush gestern: Die politischen Entscheidungen im Falle eines Ausbruchs der Vogelgrippe sind schwer. Zum Beispiel, wenn es in den USA passierte, müssten wir dann über Teile des Landes eine Quarantäne verhängen? Und wie wäre sie durchzusetzen? Das Forschungsteam um Dr. Taubenberger sucht im rekonstruierten Aufbau des Virus nach Hinweisen, um die alles entscheidende Frage zu verstehen. Wieso springt der Krankheitserreger vom Tier auf Menschen über? Und wie lässt sich das verhindern?
Denn der sich dort jetzt als ganz normales Tief dreht. Also Windgeschwindigkeiten sind da kein Thema mehr, aber immer noch Regen. Er kann also örtlich größere Regenmengen, teilweise weit über 100 Liter auf den Quadratmeter noch bringen. Und das ist noch nicht zu Ende. Wir haben einen weiteren tropischen Sturm vor Florida. Der zieht in nordwestliche Richtungen, hat im Moment so 65 Kilometer in der Stunde Wind, wird sich noch ein bisschen verstärken und kann auch örtlich dann eben größere Regenmengen bringen. Wir halten Sie auf dem Laufenden und ich wünsche Ihnen noch einen schönen Abend.
Viele Menschen sind von der mexikanischen Golfküste geflohen. Ob es in Mexiko Tote gegeben hat, ist noch unklar. Allerdings hat Stan auf seinem Weg durch Mittelamerika schon mehr als 60 Todesopfer gefordert. Als das Sturmtief auf die mexikanische Golfküste trifft, gilt es noch als Hurrikan der Kategorie 1. Mit Windgeschwindigkeiten von bis zu 126 Kilometern pro Stunde fegt der Wind über das Land. Dann aber schwächelt er und gilt mittlerweile nur noch als Tropensturm. Doch die Gefahr ist damit nicht gebannt. Stan ist der 10. atlantische Wirbelsturm in diesem Jahr, gehört aber bereits zu den zerstörerischsten in der Geschichte. Dass die Natur für den Menschen immer gefährlicher wird, belegt auch der neue Weltkatastrophenbericht, der heute in Berlin vorgestellt wurde. 2004 starben weltweit rund 250.000 Menschen bei Erdbeben, Stürmen, Überschwemmungen, Dürre und Hungersnot.
Kernaussage ist, dass erstens die Armen am stärksten von Naturkatastrophen betroffen sind. Deshalb zu helfen, dass die Armut in der Welt bekämpft wird, ist eine der wichtigen Voraussetzungen.
Armutsbekämpfung hilft langfristig. Rechtzeitige Warnungen helfen unmittelbar. Frühwarnung, das hat der Tsunami gezeigt, wird immer wichtiger. Da, wo Menschen bei Zeiten gewarnt werden können, gelingt es immer, Tausende von Leben zu retten. Die notwendige moderne Überwachungs- und Kommunikationstechnik ist kein Problem, die ist vorhanden. Das große Problem besteht darin, auch die zu erreichen, die wirklich in Gefahr sind. Und das sind, so die bittere Erkenntnis, meist die Ärmsten der Armen.
Das Ende. Eines von Tausenden von Häusern, die das Wasser weggerissen hat. Aufnahmen aus dem mexikanischen Bundesstaat Chiapas im Südosten des Landes. Das Ausmaß der Katastrophe ist noch nicht abzusehen. Dabei hatte Hurrikan Stan zunächst relativ schwach ausgesehen. Doch über das Meer auf beiden Seiten des Kontinentes wurde er unaufhörlich mit Wasser versorgt, das nun seit Tagen abregnet über Mexiko, Guatemala und El Salvador. Dort sind nach ersten Schätzungen 3/4 des Landes völlig aufgeweicht. Oben rutschen die Berghänge ab, unten findet das Wasser keinen Ablauf und reißt ganze Dörfer mit. Vielen Menschen blieb keine Chance, sich rechtzeitig in Sicherheit zu bringen. Hunderte werden vermisst, Tausende sind auf der Flucht. Ich kann meine Mutter nirgendwo finden, sagt diese junge Frau. Die Regierung von El Salvador hat Notunterkünfte eingerichtet, denn selbst wenn es aufhört zu regnen, ist es noch nicht vorbei. Wir müssen das ganze Gebiet evakuieren, denn durch die Überschwemmungen ist das Land so mit Wasser vollgesogen, dass es bis auf Weiteres unbewohnbar ist. Viele, die hier sind, haben alles verloren, bis auf das, was sie tragen konnten. Noch schlimmer ist die Lage in Guatemala. Ganze Regionen sind von der Außenwelt abgeschnitten, umgeben von Wasser und Schlamm. Hier starben die meisten Menschen. Wie in den Nachbarländern sind die Armen am schlimmsten betroffen. Denn sie haben ihre Hütten auf billigem Land errichtet, am Rand von Schluchten, Berghängen und Bächen, dort, wo es gefährlich ist. Das ganze Haus wurde zerstört. Ich habe noch Hilfeschreie gehört, aber ich konnte nichts mehr machen. Es kam einfach zu viel Wasser. Selbst so ein Bach auf der Straße kann zur Falle werden. Mit einem Seil hilft die Feuerwehr einem Mann zur anderen Seite. Das Herz Mittelamerikas als Katastrophengebiet. Deutschland und die USA haben bereits Soforthilfe angekündigt und die Hilfsorganisationen rufen weltweit zu Spenden auf.
Und die Erde aus 370 Kilometern zu sehen, ist großartig. Ich genieße das. Es hat sich auf jeden Fall für mich gelohnt. Noch 6 Tage bleibt Olsen an Bord der ISS. Danach hat ihn die Erde wieder.
Nach Washington. George Bush hat heute eine Grundsatzrede zum Kampf gegen den Terrorismus gehalten und dabei einiges gesagt, was aufhorchen lässt. Zum einen erklärte er, dass die USA und ihre Partner 10 geplante Anschläge des Al-Qaida-Netzwerks verhindert hätten. Außerdem richtete er deutliche Vorwürfe gegen Iran und Syrien. Die beiden Nachbarländer des Irak würden Extremisten Unterschlupf gewähren. Ähnlich hatte sich heute Vormittag schon der britische Premierminister Tony Blair geäußert. Im Konflikt mit dem Iran hat sich die Tonlage damit hörbar verschärft. Aus Washington, Eberhard Pilz.
Große Worte hat Präsident Bush noch nie gescheut. Heute, da die Zweifel an seiner Politik auch zu Hause wachsen, hielt er eine politische Durchhalterede. Im Irak bekämpfe Amerika an vorderster Front einen islamischen Terrorismus, der die Welt einschüchtern wolle. Gegen solch einen Feind hilft nur eins: Wir werden niemals aufgeben, niemals weniger akzeptieren als vollständigen Sieg. Rhetorik, die schwer mit den täglichen Bildern aus dem Irak in Einklang zu bringen ist. Heute sind durch Selbstmordattentate und versteckte Bomben wieder mindestens 21 Menschen getötet worden. Die Terroristen verstärken ihre Anstrengungen vor dem Verfassungsreferendum in 2 Wochen und erhalten weiter Hilfe aus dem Ausland. Unterstützerstaaten wie Syrien und Iran verdienen keine Nachsicht von den Opfern des Terrors. Die Vereinigten Staaten machen keinen Unterschied zwischen Terroristen und denen, die ihnen Unterstützung und Unterschlupf geben. Zum ersten Mal hat der Präsident heute von konkreten Erfolgen im Kampf gegen Terror seit den Anschlägen vom September 2001 gesprochen. Insgesamt haben wir mindestens 10 ernsthafte Al-Qaida-Anschläge verhindert, 3 davon in den USA. Die Opposition im Kongress hat auch das nicht beeindruckt. Wir hatten gehofft, dass der Präsident heute sagen würde, wie er unsere Truppen nach Hause holen will. Aus dem Pentagon hören wir dafür, dass 1492 tapfere Soldaten im Irak gefallen sind. Auch der Präsident hat heute von den Opfern des Krieges gesprochen, im Ton kämpferischer Entschlossenheit. Wir wissen nicht, wie der Kampf weitergehen wird oder welche Opfer wir noch bringen müssen. Eins aber wissen wir, die Verteidigung unserer Freiheit ist unsere Opfer wert. Wie immer, wenn George Bush in Form ist, vermag er seine Anhänger zu überzeugen und zu ermutigen. Doch unverkennbar ist, dass deren Zahl abnimmt. Immer mehr Amerikaner wollen keine Parolen mehr hören, sondern genauer erfahren, wie es weitergehen soll.
New York. Ein Teil des Pennsylvania-Bahnhofs wurde heute vorübergehend gesperrt, nachdem eine Getränkedose mit einer verdächtigen grünen Substanz entdeckt worden war. Arbeiter in Schutzanzügen, Nationalgardisten und Polizisten waren im Einsatz. Zuvor hatte es einen Hinweis auf geplante Bombenanschläge in der U-Bahn gegeben. Die Sicherheitsvorkehrungen wurden daraufhin erheblich verschärft. Demonstrativ nutzte Bürgermeister Bloomberg die Bahn. Nach seinen Angaben spricht die US-Bundespolizei FBI von der bislang konkretesten Bedrohung für das Verkehrssystem der Stadt. Die Regierung in Washington bewertet die Informationen dagegen als wenig glaubhaft.
In Mittelamerika ist die Zahl der Toten durch Hurrikan Stan weiter angestiegen. Nach Angaben der Behörden starben mindestens 240 Menschen, 225.000 sind obdachlos, Hunderte werden noch vermisst. Besonders in Guatemala gab es viele Opfer durch Überschwemmungen und Erdrutsche. Auch El Salvador ist schwer betroffen. Zahlreiche Orte sind für die Helfer bislang nicht erreichbar.
Derzeit hat der Regen am Golf von Mexiko nachgelassen und die schreckliche Dimension der Naturkatastrophe wird von Stunde zu Stunde klarer. Wie hier in El Salvador, wo die Rettungsarbeiten fast überall im Lande auf Hochtouren laufen. Durch die ungeheuren Wassermassen, die der Wirbelsturm Stan vor sich hertrieb, starben allein in der Hauptstadt San Salvador mehr als 50 Menschen. Auch angesichts der fast überall vernichteten Haupternte haben große internationale Hilfsorganisationen zu Spenden aufgerufen. Ein Sprecher des Roten Kreuzes kritisierte, dass im Verhältnis zu New Orleans relativ wenig für die Katastrophengebiete in Mittelamerika getan wird. Besonders hart hat es das extrem arme Guatemala getroffen. Ein einziger gewaltiger Erdrutsch riss eine ganze Siedlung mit zahlreichen Häusern und Wellblechhütten in die Tiefe. Lokale Rettungskräfte konnten in dem Ort Santiago Atitlan fast 60 Bewohner nur noch tot bergen, begraben unter tonnenschweren Schlammmassen. Ausnahmezustand auch in den Südprovinzen Mexikos. Allein in der Stadt Tapalucha haben die Fluten 50 Brücken weggeschwemmt und die Stromversorgung abgeschnitten. Für das Wochenende sind weitere Regenfälle vorhergesagt. Weil die feuchten Böden aber keine Niederschläge mehr aufnehmen können, drohen jetzt neue Überschwemmungen.
Ein Mann demonstriert Zuversicht, Michael Bloomberg, der sich im November gern als Bürgermeister wiederwählen ließe. Ich fühle mich sicher in New York, sicher in der U-Bahn, sicher auf unseren Straßen. Und da Taten lauter sprechen als Worte, fährt Michael Bloomberg auch heute mit der U-Bahn ins Rathaus wie meist. Wie knapp 5 Millionen andere New Yorker täglich auf dem Weg zum Job. Und wenige nur lassen sich irritieren, seit vor 24 Stunden New Yorks Sicherheit unter Tage drastisch verschärft wurde. Seit dem 11. September 2001 gilt in New York ohne dies Alarmstufe Orange, die zweithöchste auf der Bedrohungsskala. Stichproben, Pakete, Rucksäcke, Kinderwagen. Es ist die Routine und Taktik der Sicherheitskräfte. Präsenz ist nicht alles, aber schon viel. Und diesmal wurden alle Register gezogen. Wir haben klare Hinweise, dass die Subway in den nächsten Tagen Ziel eines Anschlages werden könnte. So genaue Hinweise auf Ziel und Zeitpunkt hatten wir noch nie. Mehrere Tage zuvor hatte Nachrichtensperre geherrscht und die Medien hatten auch mitgespielt. Man wollte die laufenden Antiterroroperationen nicht gefährden, besonders jene im Irak, wo die Bedrohungsquelle vermutet wird. Er dankt den Medien fürs Stillhalten. Man habe jene, die, besonders in Übersee, an der Verfolgung Verdächtige beteiligt waren, dadurch geschützt. Seit gestern dann aber auch Mediengroßeinsatz. Kaum eine spektakuläre Aktion entgeht den Kameras. Eine Tasche ohne Besitzer. Sofort Räumung des Waggons. Doch wie manches andere verdächtige Objekt findet auch der Beutel schließlich den Weg ins Fundbüro. Am Vormittag eine gute Stunde Alarm in Teilen von Penn Station, der großen Bahn- und Subway-Station. Doch auch hier entpuppt sich der verdächtige Gegenstand als harmlos, möglicherweise sogar als übler Scherz. New Yorks Behörden müssen sich im Spagat üben. Die Bevölkerung angemessen informieren, jedoch nicht in Panik versetzen. New York ist bei alledem auf Washington angewiesen und damit oft auf widersprüchliche Einschätzungen. Auch diesmal glaubwürdige Bedrohung für New York, sagen die einen Geheimdienste, unglaubwürdig, sagen die anderen. Das FBI hält diesmal die Informationen für glaubwürdiger als andere Dienste. Aber damit muss man eben leben. Die Geheimdienste stimmen praktisch nie in ihrer Bewertung überein. Viele schließen Anschläge nicht aus, aber einschüchtern lassen will sich niemand. Wenn sie uns in die Luft jagen wollen, lass sie doch kommen. Ich bleibe wachsam, aber das ist nicht neu. Wir sind ja seit dem 11. September 2001 im Alarmzustand. Das Leben geht weiter. Fußgänger Bloomberg sagt, lieber warne er einmal zu viel als zu wenig. Diesmal scheint es ihm besonders ernst zu sein. Eine Stadt lebt mit latenter Bedrohung, aber sie will sich nicht erdrosseln lassen davon und schon gar nicht in Angst erstarren.
Vom russischen Weltraumbahnhof Plesetsch aus ist am Nachmittag eine umgerüstete Atomrakete gestartet, die den ESA-Satelliten Kryosat ins All bringt. Er soll 3 Jahre lang per Radar die Eisflächen der schwer zugänglichen Polregionen vermessen. Aus 720 Kilometern Höhe auf den Zentimeter genau. Von der 140 Millionen Euro teuren Mission erhoffen sich die Forscher Aufschluss darüber, in welchem Maße die Klimaerwärmung zum Abschmelzen der Pole führt.
Einfluss hat der Klimawandel auf das Eis an Nord- und Südpol? Und was geschieht mit den Ozeanen, sollte das Eis schmelzen? Antworten auf diese Fragen erhoffen sich Wissenschaftler vom europäischen Satelliten Kryosat. Der in Deutschland gebaute Trabant soll das Eis an den Polen vermessen. Am Nachmittag wurde der Satellit erfolgreich in den Orbit geschossen an Bord einer ehemaligen russischen Atomrakete.
Früher haben diese Raketen den Westen mit Atomsprengköpfen bedroht. Heute bringt die umgebaute SS-19 friedliche Forschungssatelliten in die Umlaufbahn. Schmelzen die Pole oder schmelzen sie nicht? Diese Frage macht Klimaforschern Sorge. Immer öfter finden Kapitäne im Sommer am Nordpol eisfreies Wasser. Messungen von U-Booten zeigen, dass die Eisschilde stellenweise deutlich dünner geworden sind. Die Gletscher in Grönland schmelzen dramatisch ab. Doch was Wissenschaftler von der Erdoberfläche aus sehen, sind nur Momentaufnahmen. Anderswo in den schwer zugänglichen Polarregionen kann alles ganz anders sein. Für den vollständigen Überblick soll jetzt Kryosat sorgen. Mindestens 3 Jahre lang wird er die Erde umrunden. Sommer wie Winter, mehrmals am Tag über beide Pole. Die Daten sollen Ordnung in die vielen Einzelbefunde bringen.
Die Eisdicke sowohl der Eisschilde als auch des Meereises ist ja ein sehr wichtiger Klimaparameter und ein Indikator für Klimaveränderungen. Und wenn wir wissen wollen, welche Konsequenzen die globale Erwärmung auf unser weiteres Klima hat, dann müssen wir auch wissen, wie sich die Eisdicke verändert.
Kryosat hat ein raffiniertes Doppelradar an Bord. Damit kann er die Eisdecke bis auf den Zentimeter genau vermessen. Er sieht sogar einzelne schwimmende Brocken. Die reflektieren Sonnenlicht ins All. Wenn auch sie noch wegtauen, dann wird es auf der Erde richtig heiß.
Allerdings gibt es im Moment Probleme bei der Kontaktaufnahme zu der Weltraumsonde.
Die Europäische Raumfahrtagentur ESA hat den Satelliten Kryosat ins Weltall geschickt. Er soll die Eisflächen an den Polen vermessen. Die Wissenschaftler hoffen sich Aufschluss darüber, ob der globale Klimawandel zu einem Abschmelzen der Polkappen führt. Nach Angaben der ESA gab es nach dem Start vom russischen Plesetsch bei Moskau Probleme mit dem Funkkontakt zur Raumsonde.
Punkt 17:02 Uhr. Die russische SS-19-Rakete legte eigentlich einen Bilderbuchstart hin. Vor den Augen von Dutzenden Zuschauern im Besuchersaal der ESA in Darmstadt. Doch 1,5 Stunden später rauften sich die Wissenschaftler im Kontrollraum plötzlich die Haare. Die Rakete hat Kryosat zwar ins All transportiert, seitdem fehlt aber jeder Kontakt zur Erde. Es gibt kein Signal, weder von der Rakete noch vom Satelliten. Beides hätten wir normalerweise empfangen müssen. Mit der Kryosat-Mission will die ESA eigentlich ein neues Kapitel der europäischen Raumfahrt eröffnen. Der Erdbeobachtungssatellit soll wissenschaftliche Daten liefern über das Abschmelzen der Eiskappen an Nord- und Südpol. So wollen die Wissenschaftler herausfinden, welche Auswirkungen die weltweite Klimaerwärmung tatsächlich hat.
Wir wissen relativ wenig über die Eisdicke.
Und um einfach ein weiteres Puzzleteil in dieses ganze Mosaik des Klimasystems und des Klimageschehens einfügen zu können, ist es sehr wichtig für uns, eine globale Aussage über die Eisdicke machen zu können.
Welche Konsequenzen der fehlende Kontakt zu dem Satelliten hat, die ESA ist noch zurückhaltend. Es kann sein, dass wir das Signal später noch bekommen. Wir geben die Mission noch nicht auf. Es bleiben der ESA nach eigenen Angaben allerdings nur ein paar Tage, um Cryosat doch noch zu orten.
Wie soeben mitgeteilt wird, ist die Cryosat-Mission der Europäischen Raumagentur ESA gescheitert. Der Klimasatellit sei verloren, teilte ein Sprecher der russischen Raumfahrtagentur mit.
Satelllit nicht die geplante Umlaufbahn erreicht und sei ins Meer gestürzt. Die Startphase vom russischen Weltraumbahnhof Plesetsk war noch ohne Probleme verlaufen. Doch dann konnte zu dem Satelliten kein Funkkontakt hergestellt werden. Cryosat sollte aus dem All 3 Jahre lang die Eisdicke an den Polkappen messen. Dadurch sollten die Auswirkungen der Klimaerwärmung auf die Pole erforscht werden. Der russischen Weltraumagentur gab es Probleme mit dem Antrieb. Dadurch habe der Satellit nicht die geplante Umlaufbahn erreicht und sei ins Meer gestürzt. Die Startphase vom russischen Weltraumbahnhof Plesetsk war noch ohne Probleme verlaufen. Doch dann konnte zu dem Satelliten kein Funkkontakt hergestellt werden. Cryosat sollte aus dem All 3 Jahre lang die Eisdicke an den Polkappen messen. Dadurch sollten die Auswirkungen der Klimaerwärmung auf die Pole erforscht werden.
They're both spaceflight veterans. They trained together for years for this flight. The International Space Station's Expedition 12 crew members are both small-town boys who even give the same answer when asked, is a space explorer what you always wanted to be?
Interestingly enough, it is not what I always wanted to do.
And frankly speaking, it's not.
But they both ended up doing it, a job they love and believe in. Bill MacArthur was born in 1951 in Laurinburg, North Carolina. The son of an Army officer, he grew up in that area of small towns surrounding Fort Bragg. But the Army wasn't Bill Jr.'s only interest. After all, he is a native of North Carolina.
Of course, North Carolinians are very proud of the fact that the Wright brothers' first flights took place in our state. And so there was just always this boyhood interest in flying. I built rockets when I was a kid and flew model airplanes.
After high school in 1969, he won an appointment to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point.
And while I was a cadet at West Point, near the end of the Vietnam conflict, and of course, aviation was a very important part of the Army's participation in Vietnam. So I saw that I did have an opportunity as an Army officer to fly and seized that opportunity as soon as I could. Flew helicopters for a number of years.
Those years were spent stationed at Fort Bragg and in Korea and in Georgia, where he earned a Master of Science degree in aerospace engineering at Georgia Tech. He taught at West Point, graduated from the Navy's Test Pilot School, and was assigned by the Army to the Johnson Space Center as a Space Shuttle Integration Test Engineer in 1987. MacArthur was picked to become an astronaut in 1990 and made his first flight 3.5 years later on a 2-week Space Lab mission. MacArthur's second flight brought him to the Mir space station in 1995, part of a 4 Americans and 1 Canadian shuttle crew, meeting up with 2 Russians and a German on a Russian space station. In late 2000, just a month before the first expedition crew arrived at ISS, MacArthur was one of the spacewalkers on the shuttle flight that delivered the Z-1 truss and pressurized mating adapter number 3. Retired from the Army with the rank of colonel since 2001, the commander of Expedition 12 admits to a personal satisfaction from flying in space. But he knows he's involved with something much more important than his own goals.
If we're not pushing the boundaries of discovery, that means we're standing in one place. And as a soldier, I always hated marching in one place because you weren't accomplishing anything. And so I think space exploration has been this tremendous catalyst for the development of technology in this country and in the world. It's been a tremendous catalyst for us to make the human condition better.
MacArthur's crewmate for this 6-month mission is Russian Air Force Colonel Valery Tokarev. Tokarev was born in 1952 in the small village of Kapyar in the southern Soviet region of Astrakhan, west of the Caspian Sea. How small was the village?
It's a small village. We did not see bus because no bus, only horses, cow, tractor. We did not have good road because it was far from the big city. It's far from small city even.
Small enough that his family moved after elementary school because the village didn't have a high school, but not so small that it couldn't inspire a boy's dream.
I went to the library in our small village and read whole books about military pilots Second World War. It was so influent to me. It just it was serious impact to my mental. And I just wanted to be like them, like as a pilot.
Tokarev won admission to the Higher Military School of Fighter Pilots in Stavropol, and after graduation began his career in the Soviet Air Force. By 1982, he'd graduated from the Test Pilot Training Center and later the Yuri Gagarin Air Force Academy. In 1987, he was picked as a test cosmonaut for the Buran program, the Soviet Union shuttle program. And after Buran, he was assigned to the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center. Tokarev's first spaceflight came on the shuttle Discovery in 1999, the first mission to dock to the International Space Station and begin setting it up for a permanent human habitation. Like his commander, Tokarev believes the work they're doing off the planet is crucial to our future.
If we stop, planet resources is limited. We know well about this. And it means we accept the risk for researches, new technologies, new planet might be, new resources. It's exactly needed, necessity.
Bill MacArthur and Valery Tokarev, with 4 previous flights between them, bring 45 days' experience on orbit to their first long-duration space mission.
Houston Station, Space Ground 1.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, we're ready for you guys to come on board and switch to Space Ground 2 if you like.
And we're just confirming you're using lab camcorder?
Yes, we are.
Okay, we're ready to come on board. Thank you. Station Houston on Space to Ground 1. We're on board and we're ready for you to start. Looks great. And we're listening on Space to Ground 2.
Okay, do you want us on line 1 or line 2?
Line 2, please. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Almost half a year ago, we take this month we walked inside the station, outside the station, trying better for shuttle flight after the accident. Hope that your mission would be successful and you will make many time standing.
And standby 1, station.
Sergey,
We were having your signal break up, and we were wondering if you would mind starting over on Space to Ground 1. And it breaks up when the handset moves away from your mouth just a little bit, we've noticed. Thank you.
About a half year ago, we took the command from Expedition 10. We worked 6 months trying to get station in better shape, worked inside the station, outside the station, made experiments, and we were trying to make station ready for you, good shape as we could. We had very interesting flight. We have a shuttle arriving to us after many months of staying on the ground after the accident. And I hope that your mission is going to be very interesting and you are going to make very many successful entries in this logbook. But
Sergey, it's a true honor for us to accept the space station from you. We have the utmost respect for the work that you and John have done. We consider this a great trust, not just from the member nations and the International Space Station program, but a great trust from all humanity. I think there is no greater endeavor beings than to explore. We are proud to carry on the mission that you have set, try to meet the standards that you have set, ending this, humanity's outpost that orbits in space. Stand relief.
Congratulations, Expedition 12 and Expedition 11. You've made us very proud.
Thank you very, very much, Lucia.
Lucius, thank you. All we did was with your support. Thank you.
Great job.
Soyuz going down into the habitat.
Sending a command to activate KSDSO. Stand by. Are you ready? S1, S1. I turn the timer on. Decrease of pressure in SU. The pressure in UB is without changes. It varies within 1 millimeter. How is the pressure in the docking assembly? Pressure is decreasing 30 seconds. The decrease is 255. Copy. If it's less than 25, then close the valve. Copy. One minute into the procedure. Pressure.
And we rang the ship's bell to ring the Expedition 11 crew off of the station. And that's what we've got.
RZ. The landing site that is being targeted is in Kazakhstan. The location of landing is just to the north of Arkelik, about 85 kilometers or 53 miles away. It's about 346 kilometers or 250 miles southeast of Kustanai, where the recovery forces were based out of over the weekend and moving to Arkelik earlier today to be closer to the landing site.
Then let's find out separation.
Recovery forces will work quickly to make the crew comfortable and begin initial medical checkups at the landing site inside a temporary tent.
The ground is inaudible.
Shortly thereafter, the team will be ferrying the crew to Kustanai to board a plane back to Star City, just north of Moscow, where the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center is located, and the crew will be able to greet friends and family and colleagues waiting there in Star City about 8 hours after landing in the early morning Moscow time.
The pressure is dropping. The other oxygen valve operated. We have 770. Actually, we have 2 millimeters difference on two sensors, on two pressure sensors.
Я понял, по радиограмме включить. Хорошо.
The pressure is changing very slowly, so it is 670 right now. So it is dropping maybe a couple of millimeters a minute. We'll see how it goes. We haven't opened the second valve yet.
Уточни давление ИСа еще раз. Валера, фотоаппарат подготовлен у Билла к съемке?
What was the pressure? That was 670, now it is 660 in a descent module. Within a second, actually. It was at 670, quite stable for a while. Let me check the altitude meter.
Смотри, а пульс, в общем-то, он может большой точно. Может и врать, да. Да.
The altitude meter may not be showing the correct information. I am selecting the room mode. And I have the format in. We have nothing for monitoring the attitude right now. About 7 minutes till separation. The pressure was not clear. And we have an increase of altitude slowly on the altitude meter. 660 it was before. Copy. You have a lot of static coming from the ground.
This is Mission Control Houston now, about 32 minutes from landing.
Maybe I could see you better.
We're about 6 minutes away from the next phase of entry, where the two of the three modules that make up the spacecraft separate. Those include the upper portion, the orbital or habitational module, and the lower portion, the instrumentation propulsion module, that sets the stage for the reentry interface through the Earth's atmosphere with the descent module in which the crew resides. The separation of the modules is scheduled to occur at 7:43 p.m. Central Time.
There's a lot of interference. Breaking up separation, coming up. Checking pressure, and it's unclear. If you read me, use the oxygen in the petrol bottles. Repress. Okay? It's maybe 23%, small. Before separation, we can use these.
30 minutes from landing now, and less than 4 minutes from the separation of the Soyuz modules.
The partial pressure is growing a little bit.
Прекрасно, значит, ОФ-камера работает нормально.
We're not reading you now, but please report. At least one-sided report, please.
Пушкин от ДПО на видеокамере фиксируется отчетливо. Принято.
I am taking pictures. I'm taking video.
Now about 28 minutes from landing, less than 2 minutes from module separation.
Valerie, and what about picture taking, imaging ops? Are you ready? Yes. Everything has been configured.
After report and press and release, press and release.
Очень хорошо. Тогда мы бы хотели, чтобы вы начали фотографирование даже до... Ага, то есть ориентация уже готова, целеуказания верные, поэтому где-нибудь в 3:45, 30 или же в 0:45-30 по Гринвичу начинайте фотоаппаратом снимать, даже если ничего видно не будет. Понятно. Валерий, спектрометр запустили? Да. Пошли шумы. Скажите что-нибудь. Слышим вас. Пожалуйста, ведите репортаж.
Please report.
Standing by for confirmation of module separation momentarily.
Закрыть после разделения РПВ-1.
Close RPR1 after separation.
Валерий, ожидайте появления на жидкокристаллическом экране свечения. Где-то прорываетесь, но не слышно.
You will see
Do
on
you
the
read me?
display.
We are not reading you.
идет.
Свечение где?
Report. Sergey, report. Say something. Keep reporting. Maybe we're not answering you because you can't read us, but please report.
Readers, please, we're waiting for your comments. Up.
Чувствуем нажатие вашей тангенты по...
Valerie, can you see anything glowing?
Пока не вижу свечения.
No, I can't see any glowing now.
Доверните
Yet.
на один щелчок на 5 градусов ПХО.
Please rotate the camera toward PHO 5 degrees. That is one click. Copy.
Сергей, как нас слышите? Ведите репортаж. Если вы нас слышите,
If you read us, Answer by pressing the push to talk button 3 times. With a second
the glowing is too bright. Just change the mode 3 to 2. Okay, we can see them and taking video and pictures. Okay, very good. If the glow is too bright, just change to 3 to 2 and back. Say it again, please. If the glow is too bright, the camera operation mode, change over from mode 4 to 3, hold on for some 10 seconds to 2, hold on for some 10 seconds and back. Copy.
The crew on board the International Space Station is attempting to get video of the Soyuz descent module as it goes through the atmospheric entry phase. The visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control Houston confirms from information from counterparts in Moscow that the module separation was on time. As scheduled at 7:43 p.m. Central Time, the Soyuz descent module is scheduled to begin feeling the effects of the Earth's atmosphere for atmospheric entry at 7:46 p.m. Central. As the plasma builds up around the descent module during the entry phase, typically there's a tough period of time to communicate with the crew. The module is beginning to feel the effects of the upper reaches of the Earth's atmosphere as it makes its descent toward landing. At this point in the entry phase, the onboard entry guidance software should be initiated. The crew will begin to feel the maximum G-forces in about 3 minutes from now. Those are in the range between 4 and 5 Gs, just before the parachutes begin to systematically deploy to slow the vehicle significantly. And the main chute will orient the spacecraft to a landing position, and just prior to touchdown, retrograde rockets will fire to soften the landing. Touchdown now expected at about 20.5 minutes from now at 8:09 p.m. Central Time or 7:09 a.m. at the landing site in Kazakhstan.
Basalt, Mission Control Moscow, how do you read? Basalt,
Mission Control Moscow, how do you read?
Touchdown now expected 18 minutes from now at 8:09 p.m. Central Time. As Mission Control Moscow calls the Soyuz spacecraft Basalt, as it's called, for a voice check.
Basalt, how do you read?
The visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control Houston reports that recovery forces have spotted the plasma trail as the descent module enters into the Earth's atmosphere.
Basalt, how do you read me? Basalt, what is the pressure now? What is the pressure now? Basalt, how do you read? Basalt, how do you read Mission Control Moscow? Loading 3 and 5. How do you read Mission Control? Loud and clear? What is the pressure now, Sergey? Normal, 673. Copy, thank you. +2. What was the miss? Miss was 3 seconds on re-entry. We had 2 on automatic. We are watching you already. Good. Waiting OSP. Copy.
The crew is now back in communication with Mission Control Moscow, now 16 minutes from landing, having gone through the maximum G-forces range of the entry timeline.
Talk to them. Tell the pressure right away. What were the deviations?
The next phase of the entry will be a command to open the parachutes, beginning with a drogue chute, a pilot parachute to deploy the drogue chute.
Give me the parameters. Integral. Loads.
And the main parachute will follow in sequence to slow the Soyuz and its descent significantly in preparation for landing. Landing now about 15 minutes from now at 8:09 p.m. Central Time. Just before landing, retrograde rockets will fire on the Soyuz spacecraft to soften the landing of the vehicle. Now standing by for confirmation of the parachutes being deployed at the Soyuz. At this point, the Soyuz should be under parachute-controlled descent. The pilot parachute is deployed first, and it pulls out the drogue chute. The drogue chute reduces the speed of the module from 230 meters a second, or 514 miles an hour, to 90 meters a second, or 200 miles an hour. The main parachute has an area of 1,000 square meters. And once it is deployed, it slows the Soyuz's descent to 7.6 meters a second, or 17 miles an hour, and angles the spacecraft vertically until just before touchdown, when the thrusters will fire, softening the landing of the Soyuz. The visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control Houston just reported that the recovery forces are now tracking the Soyuz spacecraft and its beacon or communication system. And the VVO reporting that the recovery forces see the capsule and are tracking it. Landing now less than 13 minutes away. The Soyuz is flying under parachute controlled descent.
И здесь все засняли, так что сейчас вот в компьютере файлы проверим еще. Ну, все должно быть. Отлично. За капсулой следили?
And have you traced or tracked the camera? Yes, we did. And we took the pictures. I took imagery. Everything should be well seen. And I commented while taking video. I was commenting while taking video. Very good. Thank you. So everything is fine despite everything or anything. Excellent. Okay, we're ready to perform close-out ops. Okay, every success to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Валерий, после того, как
Talk to you later.
до камеры, стандартная просьба такая.
Valerie, when do you...
БЧК.
This is Mission Control Houston. The recovery forces have reported through the visiting vehicle officer here in Houston that they do have two-way communications with the crew in the capsule directly with the recovery forces.
I'll copy. Copy to take picture of the clock and put into the same folder. I mean, put the picture into the same folder. Is it correct? Yes, that's affirmative.
Counting down to landing now 10 minutes from now. Included in the NASA contingents aboard helicopters in the recovery forces is crew surgeon Dr. Jim Locke, astronaut Jim Newman, who is the director of NASA's human spaceflight program in Russia, and the chief of the astronaut office, Kent Rominger, also included in the helicopters, along with public affairs officer Rob Navius and videographers and still photographers. Aboard one of the helicopters is a videographer with a video phone, so hopefully we will be able to get some early pictures of the landing site following the recovery forces' arrival at the site of the capsule.
прибор.
Moscow Station.
Отвечаем.
Go ahead.
Релаксация. Что тут
Regarding relaxation,
программа выходить?
actually
Она окно не сворачивается.
the
То есть так у нас график.
application doesn't pop up.
Посмотрите,
I have the graphics.
набрано уже 600 спектров набрано.
And have you got all 600 spectra in the left corner? Yes.
Написано
600.
600 from 600.
Spec 600 from 600.
Я думаю, просто
Компьютер.
This is Mission Control Houston, counting down to landing, now 6 minutes from now. The Soyuz spacecraft is under parachute-controlled descent. The main parachute, again, has an area of 1,000 square meters and slows the Soyuz descent to 7.6 meters a second, or 17 miles an hour, and angles the spacecraft vertically until just before touchdown, when thrusters fire that soften the landing of the Soyuz. After the retrograde thrusters fire, the speed at touchdown will be 2 meters a second, or about 4.5 miles an hour. That landing now just under 5.5 minutes from now at 8:09 p.m. Central Time, 7:09 a.m. local time in Kazakhstan.
Так, придется, наверное, выключать его, этот лаптоп, потому что диск не
I think I will have to shut down the computer because the display doesn't show the availability of it. Please cycle it. That is, turn it off and on again. Copy.
The visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control Houston reports that the altitude of the vehicle is about 3,000 meters now. This is Mission Control Houston, counting down to landing, now 3 minutes from now at 8:09 p.m. Central Time.
Супу Москвы в канале СГ-1.
SS to Moscow NSG-1, go ahead.
Валерий, сейчас будем
Valerie,
приводить исходное.
you will have to reconfigure communications back to the initial copy. You will have to perform steps 5 and 6, page 936. Step 6 is procedure 285, page 96. Item 92. That is communications configuration
Так, ну давайте, я сейчас занимаюсь одним.
with no shuttle. Okay, I will have to copy that down.
Готов записывать?
Are you ready to copy? Yes, I'm ready.
Хорошо.
Now approaching 1 minute from the scheduled landing of the Soyuz. The location of landing is just to the north of Arkelek, about 85 kilometers or 53 miles away, and about 346 kilometers or 215 miles southeast of Kustanai in Kazakhstan.
You have to deactivate.
We will stand by for official confirmation of landing of the Soyuz spacecraft, the 10th Soyuz spacecraft for the International Space Station, the TMA-6 vehicle with Expedition 11's Sergei Krikalev and John Phillips and spaceflight participant Gregory Olson aboard.
5-step on 939 to nominal configuration. That's affirmative nominal configuration, item 9.2, page 96.
Standing by for official confirmation of landing of the Soyuz spacecraft. And the visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control Houston reports that Mission Control Moscow confirmed landing has occurred and also confirmed that the retro rockets did fire just before touchdown to soften the Soyuz's landing. The Soyuz touchdown about 85 kilometers or 53 miles away from Arkelek in Kazakhstan. Recovery forces had visual contact of the capsule, so we'll stand by for reports from the first recovery forces to land near the capsule. The visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control Houston reports that the spacecraft has landed at its vertical position and recovery forces are in the area. This is Mission Control Houston, standing by for confirmation from Mission Control Moscow. The official landing time, it was scheduled for 8:09 p.m. Central Time. We'll stand by for official word on that. Also standing by for initial reports continuing from the landing site.
This is Moscow, SG-1. Go ahead. The publics are in the nominal configuration. How are you doing? Basically, I'm going to zip the file, and that's what I should take care of. Because the computer froze. And now we created the folder. I'm going to zip it. And I'm going to copy it and go back to the old configuration. Okay, do you have the file? Yes, we do have the files. Everything is fine. I created the folder. And the name of the folder is the today's date. Also, I archived it as a zip file, and now I just have to connect the card and copy it. Excellent. Wonderful. Basically, I'm going to go to the old com config, and then I'm going to make that copy. Very good. Then we are waiting for your report upon completing of the com config.
Houston Station on Space Ground 1. Thanks for the great fireworks show. We had a wonderful view.
Yeah, Bill, we were hearing Valeri calling down that you all got some decent video and pictures. We're looking forward to seeing them.
We think they'll turn out okay.
And Bill, one more item for you while we're talking. The comm on board the vehicle has been reconfigured to normal. RSA-2 has been moved back to public call 3.
Thanks, man.
This is Mission Control Houston. Visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control reports that touchdown was at 41 degrees north and 67 degrees east. within about 5 nautical miles, plus or minus of that. The recovery forces of the helicopters have landed and are helping the crew from the capsule. We're still standing by for confirmation from Mission Control Moscow of the exact landing time. Landing scheduled again for 8:09 p.m. Central Time. The crew is on the ground and now being extracted from the Soyuz spacecraft. In the meantime, on board the International Space Station, the Expedition 12 crew is about to begin its sleep shift for the night. Commander Bill MacArthur had called down just a moment ago to spacecraft communicator Capcom Thad Bowers here in Houston to report that they had been able to see the Soyuz during its re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere and its plasma trail as it went through the atmosphere. MacArthur and flight engineer Valery Tokarev will begin their 11th day in space tomorrow, their first full day in space without other crew members on board the International Space Station as they begin their mission aboard the station in earnest with 6 months of science experiments and maintenance and spacewalking activities on board the station. They're scheduled to wake up about 5 a.m. Central Time tomorrow and start working back to a normal schedule aboard the International Space Station.
Суперборд. Отвечаем.
Так, ну, все команды я выдал.
MCC, this is station. Yes, go ahead. I have sent all the commands regarding 9.2. I have a question.
Значит,
And we'll cover 1. Should we activate it?
Нет, мы
No. We use OKV only during the OKV compass. Understood, yes, I understand it.
здесь у нас дальше
What, how would you call it?
написано, что включение
And it says here
выдать включение УКВ-1.
to activate OKV 1. Now we have OKV 1, right? It's deactivated as of now.
Значит, Валерий, шаг 4.
Step 4.
Супамэм.
Step 4 says to connect with
Вводим включение УКВ.
SuperMem,
Сейчас зона УКВ.
activate OKV 1. Now we don't have OKV 1 compass.
Значит, не выполняем.
It means we don't do it.
Верно. Значит, информация с места посадки. Ребята сели нормально.
And
Все нормально.
the guys are fine. Information from the landing site. They're doing fine. Very good, very good. Good news. Please say hello.
Спасибо.
Thank you.
Если у вас к нам какие-нибудь
Do you have any questions about today or any comments? Well, basically, let's call it a day.
Хорошо, ребята.
All right, guys. Then, basically, yeah, that's it for today.
За работу
Yes, thank you for your work, and
тоже.
you had a
Спасибо.
great workload today.
Отдыхайте.
Thank you. Have some rest. Enjoy your evening, and good night.
И до связи.
And I'll talk to you later. Thank you. How about the evening DPC?
Накануне дня отдыха вечерний DPC.
Well, you see, somebody wants an evening DPC, right?
Понятно.
I see.
Завтра у нас
So tomorrow, do we have a day off?
Да.
Yes, indeed.
Форма 24.
Form 24, you have it on already for tomorrow.
Выход на связь.
And you can call MCC as per Form 24.
У вас 13:00.
1300 to 1320, you have the condensate reprocessing from CWC and
Договоримся и выйти на связь.
a conference with a specialist. And so at that time, you can go ahead and call MCC. If you have any questions or issues, call at any time. All right, thank you.
Счастливого полета.
And enjoy your flight. Thank you. Goodbye.
До свидания.
Goodbye.
This is Mission Control Houston with a view of the landing site via satellite video phone. This is Mission Control Houston with a live view at the Soyuz landing site, just about 53 miles away from Arkalek, Kazakhstan, with the satellite video phone being set up at the landing site there. We'll occasionally get video from the landing site and the return of the Expedition 11 crew members, Commander Sergei Kriklev and Flight Engineer John Phillips, along with spaceflight participant Gregory Olson.
Let's help him. That's great. Be careful. Make sure you put something on his head. We don't want him to catch a cold. Turn him around. There, Greg. Does he have a watch? Here, of course he does. Yeah, there. There should be some photographs. Did you want some water? Later, maybe.
Kent, Soyuz TMA-6 behind you, the crew in the medical tent, all is well. Your reaction here at the landing site to the successful end of Expedition 11?
Rob, I got to tell you, it's a beautiful morning. It was a wonderful entry. And this morning on the ramp at Arkalek, you looked up in the sky and you saw a bright star. It was the space station passing overhead. And below that bright star was this Soyuz vehicle leaving its plasma trail through the golden orange glow. And it was just a wonderful sight to bring this 6-month mission to its end, which continued the presence of humans in space, American and Russian, through the cooperation of the Russian and the NASA space programs.
Just weeks away from the 5th anniversary of the permanent human occupancy of the International Space Station. As you look here, it's such a small capsule, but so meaningful to the continuation of that presence. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, it has very much been the mainstay of keeping folks on orbit. And I'm very excited in the fact we have flown at STS-114, and this spring we will get the shuttles back into regular flight where we continue the build of the International Space Station, and not only continue a presence of 2, but 3 and eventually 6 humans on orbit as we then step out forward with exploration.
How about the choreography this morning, Kent? We wake up in a farmhouse in Arkalyk, and here we are in an open field on a beautiful morning. All 3 crew members in good shape, radio beacon still flashing on the Soyuz. Describe this operation.
It truly is amazing, and they have it down to a very fine science here, from the fact that on the 9 helicopters that are here are all very choreographed and scripted. They take off exactly 5 minutes apart with separation. They manage to come exactly to the area we are. When we wind up landing, circling the vehicle, the medical tent is erected very quickly. The SAR forces are here in their amphibious vehicles, and it is just a very well scripted and understood science that they're practicing here.
And on orbit, Bill MacArthur, Valery Tokarev picking up where these guys left off. Your thoughts on where they go from here?
Yeah, it is wonderful to see Bill and Valery on orbit. They've been training together for many years. They make a wonderful pair, and it is just very exciting to see where they're going to go. And they will hand the station over to the following expedition crew, which will then become a crew of 3.
И теперь сами под плечи взяли и вытаскиваем. Вытаскиваем, поворачиваем головой. Выше Тут он на меня лёг. Опа. Все. Так, осторожно. Накрыли голову, накрыли голову. Сань, потом еще поворачивай. Сашка. Голову. Так, это все. Вынимаем. Ноги оставляем. Тихо. Есть. Так, все на руках. Часы. Грег, отходи, все. Уноси. Есть часы, есть у него часы? Не было часов. Вот они часы. Грег, вот они. Эй, how are you, Андрей? Так, снимаем часы, отдаем потом. Палатки отдаем часы. Чтобы потом не было. Все. Это вторые волосы. Разворачиваем. Спасибо. Да. Слева. Сереж, привет. Приветствую. Ну-ка, Серега, так я вот сюда. Лех, все хорошо. Натяжечку. Не хочу, чуть-чуть. Нет, не буду. Я вот так вот в сторонке стою, вам не мешаю. Она, видно, beautiful. Да, может быть, идет. О, опа, не спеши, не спокойно, мы сами. Может, да. Там, по-моему, сели. Спасибо. Не во что пока. Ой. Держи. Что? Фотографию, там дорожка. Можно сейчас простудите. Лучше не могу. Мы же на ЦУП делаем. Ну, я могу шапочку. Мне... Хорошо, договоримся. Скажи. Так. Ой, закрой только тоже. Будешь поднимать, порог там. Так, мы что, держи. Looking good. Он сейчас сюда близко придет. Нет, еще подходит. Андрей. Looking good, John. Так, осторожно, мы еще не... Так, дальше. Так, кто есть аккумулятор?
Вертолет, пассажиры. Милости просим.
Не держите, не держите. Заводите, ребята. Что стоять? Там, стою. Там не торопись. Голову держи. Голову там держи.
Dear colleagues, let's start the ceremony. As you know, today we have completed the flight of a circuit curricula of the commander, flight engineer John Phillips, and space flight participant Gregory Olsen. It is a great pleasure to welcome them in the land of Kazakhstan. And on behalf of the representatives of the city of Kostanay, I would like to give them a few small mementos. He went to space when he was 49, and now he's 50. And in view of that, I would also like to offer you some small tokens. There is a medal, and this is from Baikonur, from where he was launched. Here's a commemorative medal and a certificate. This is from Baikonur. And this is a commemorative desktop medal. I have a question from the services of the search and rescue. We would like to congratulate you on the completion of your flight and on your successful landing, and also from our military staff at Baikonur, we would like to present you with the books about the history of cosmonautics. Could you say a few words about your program? You know, if I tell you what we worked on, it will probably take 6 months to tell you. It was a very busy program. We did Earth observation, there were some medical experiments, and generally I would say that the high point of our flight was meeting our colleagues from the shuttle after this a long break in the shuttle flights after the catastrophe that occurred when Columbia accident brought death to some of our dear colleagues. And then with the return to flight, the next shuttle flew to the station. In a way, it was a test of the shuttle safety, and we helped in that so as to estimate the condition of the shuttle, which performed a pitch maneuver right before docking so that it would be possible to take a look at its underbelly, and we photographed the state of the thermal protection tiles on the bottom of the shuttle. Sergey, thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Greg? Good morning, good afternoon, Kazakhstan. I feel great. I have best friends, Sergei Krikalev and John Phillips.
I feel great. Thank you for coming. I enjoyed my trip immensely. Yes, I think it was worth it. And it's one of the best experiences in my life. Thank you.
Good morning.
Прошу вопросы.
Questions, please.
Уважаемые гости.
Dear friends and guests.
Не работает?
This one doesn't work, it seems. How do you hear me? Congratulations to everybody on a successful landing. Everything went fine. And as you can see, the entire crew are healthy, cheerful. And the tourist, Gregory Olsen, of course, looks best of all, and you can see that his state is perfect. And he started eating apples right away. That tells us and shows us that one should be extremely determined in working to attain one's dreams. He fought for it. He won. He went victorious through the entire flight, the pre-flight training, and he looks great, and he achieved what he was working on. We're congratulating the entire crew, and we would like to congratulate everybody who participated in all the work on the landing on their success.
Thank you, Mr. Pirmanov. It's a great day for space exploration once again. I'd like to start by congratulating our Russian colleagues on another successful landing of the Soyuz space capsule. Space flight is a difficult endeavor, but your operations folks, your crews, your search and rescue people, your technicians make it look easy.
Еще раз хотел бы поздравить всех с удачными событиями посадки сегодня, поздравить наших российских коллег с великолепной операцией, которая сегодня была проведена. Хотел бы особенно подчеркнуть, что работа вашего персонала, ваших экипажей, людей, которые занимаются спасением и поиском экипажа, все сегодня проявили свои самые превосходные качества. Поздравляю вас.
I would like to thank the Expedition 11 crew commander, Sergei Krikalev and John Phillips, for the outstanding work they did. They kept the space station going in fine shape for the last 6 months.
Хотел бы поздравить экипаж экспедиции 11 МКС, командира Сергея Крикалева и бортинженера Джона Филлипса с прекрасной работой. Они в очень хорошем режиме работали на станции за последние 6 месяцев.
We look forward to the Expedition 12 accomplishments for Larry Tokarev and Bill MacArthur, but for today, I look forward to greeting Sergei and John when they return to Moscow.
И мы с нетерпением будем ждать продолжения работы Международной космической станции. Экспедиция 12, Валерий Токарев и Билл МакАртур продолжат эту работу в течение последующих нескольких месяцев. А сегодня я буду с нетерпением ждать возвращения экипажа и поприветствовать здесь Сергея и Джона, когда они вернутся. Поздравляю, спасибо еще раз всем.
Thank you, and I also would like to extend my congratulations to everybody on the event of successful landing. I would particularly like to thank engineers, testers, managers, and instructors for working in such an excellent manner. We see, and the landing showed that international crews today confirm our dream of a permanent presence of humans in space. Thank you.
Пожалуйста, вопросы.
Questions, please?
Представляйтесь.
And please introduce yourselves. Kovalov Alexander, RIA Novosti. With respect to the landing, of course, there are no questions. Thank God everything went nominally and it went fine. And I would also like to extend my congratulations. My question has to do with respect to the issues more on everybody's agenda, to Dr. Krasnov and his colleague Michael Safardini. We know that the working group in Moscow has just completed another round of its work on discussing questions that are of mutual interest. Particularly, they discussed the size of the contributions made by different countries into the future development of the space station, shuttle flights, etc. So could you say a few words about that, please? Thank you. Thank you. I would just like to say a few words that yesterday we have completed quite an important round of negotiations with our colleagues, and as always we were convinced that we can resolve all our technical problems successfully, and we find mutual understanding and common ground. I believe that we are arriving at a very good system of technical interaction and cooperation with NASA for the next year and the subsequent years. So we kind of outlined the prospects up to the year 2010 as to how we're planning to do our joint work together. And if in the nearest future we approve that program, it will certainly help both us, Roscosmos and NASA and our partners. It will help us believe in the future prospect of the program development. It's important for our European, Japanese, and Canadian colleagues. One thing that constrains us at this time is a lack of the political decision that would pertain to resolving legal issues on the side of the United States. We're quite optimistic in our view of this situation. We hope that the U.S. legislators will approve the things that they need to approve in order to implement our joint plans. In November, we're planning to hold another session of negotiations so that we could sign specific documents. Thank you. Mrs. Pastukhova. Olga Pastukhova, Vesti. I have a question. We would like to find out about the future program post-landing work. What's the schedule? Are they going to stop at Astana and Karaganda, etc.? And what is the specific information from the crew doctors? What do the crew surgeons say? We saw that Olsen was fine, but John Phillips seems to have been not quite conscious. They gave them something to smell so as to bring him back, and so he's been there for half a year. Thank you for your question. The crew are now at the landing site. Then they go to the tents, they change, and they fly to Kustenai. Then they will fly to Chkalovsky at about 11 o'clock or somewhat after 11 o'clock Moscow time. With Phillips, it's normal. There is nothing abnormal about his condition. There is nothing to worry.
Да, пожалуйста.
Next, please. Could you say a few words in detail about the arrangements that were reached with respect to the ISS and particularly the operations that have to do with the Russian segment, shuttle flights necessary to develop the station further and assemble it? Could you say a few words in detail about that? As for our modules, we are going to have them launched with Russian vehicles, and with respect to the modules that were supposed to be delivered by the shuttles, this issue is going to be looked into at further negotiation sessions. It will all depend on how many shuttles are going to be scheduled for flights, and the decisions will be made accordingly to utilize them. Next question, please. Lina Pastuhova at Tartas. To follow up, I would like to ask a question as to whether you talked about returning MacArthur to the ground. We come back to the same thing. How is he going to return, and how the next astronaut is going to be delivered, or is this going to be discussed in November? Thank you for your question. We discussed this issue, and we have a very clear understanding how MacArthur is going to fly back. That's going to be on the Soyuz, and the conditions for this operation are clear to us. As for the financial aspect, we have to make some decisions to resolve it, but we do have joint understanding with our colleagues as to how we're going to resolve it. And with respect to the flight of an American astronaut on the Soyuz in the spring, we also talked about this issue. You know, there are two candidates in preliminary training at the GCTC. At this time, we have not reached a final agreement on this, but in November, I believe we'll dot our I's and cross our T's, so to speak. Unless there are any more questions, there are more questions. Go ahead, please.
Mike Eckel from the Associated Press. I'd like to follow up on the question we had from my colleague from RIA Novosti. From NASA's perspective, it was a question of where the relationship between Russia and the United States stands right now as regards the space program. And if I translated Alexei Borisovich's comments properly, it was an absence of political resolve. That's the biggest obstacle regarding the development of the U.S. and Russian space relationship.
Это вопрос Associated Press. Он хотел бы продолжить тот вопрос, который уже задавался. Еще раз скажите нам, пожалуйста, немного более подробно о том, где сейчас мы находимся в нашем взаимодействии по дальнейшему освоению космоса с точки зрения вот этих политических ограничений, которые здесь были упомянуты. Можете ли вы дать нам более подробное объяснение, как мы будем дальше двигаться в этом направлении?
I'll make a general comment and then I'll pass it over to Mr. Suffredini for more detail. There's certainly no lack of political resolve from our point of view. We have progressive and outstanding relations with the Russians, and we intend to do so in the future. We are working through our political constraints as we speak. The INA language is going through Congress right now. We expect resolution on that. And I'll pass it to Mr. Suffredini for further comment.
Прежде чем я передам слово господину Сафредини, я хотела бы сделать общий такой комментарий о том, что мы не видим сейчас каких-либо серьезных политических ограничений по разрешению наших вопросов, наших взаимоотношений. Мы сейчас работаем над тем, чтобы разрешить и снять вот это ограничение по иранскому законодательству, и мы ожидаем успешного разрешения этого вопроса. Теперь я хотела бы передать слово Майку Сафредини.
See, I would just add first to say that Alexei and Rex have said it very well and captured where we are. I would tell you that this has never been a question about this partnership, ever. The partnership has always been very strong. The entire partnership has, and where we're at today is trying to look ahead for future requirements we both have and how we meet those requirements. And we need to do that within the guidelines of our governments, and that's what we're off to do.
Я бы хотела сказать, что и Алексей, и Рекс сейчас, собственно говоря, сказали все абсолютно правильно, сделали совершенно правильные замечания. И я бы хотела бы вам сказать еще раз, что то, где мы сейчас находимся, у нас взаимоотношения, собственно говоря, никогда и не были лучше, мы двигаемся в правильном направлении. И мы сейчас вырабатываем требования для будущего взаимодействия, и так, чтобы это удовлетворяло правительство с обеих сторон. И я считаю, что мы этого достигнем. Мы движемся в правильном направлении. Спасибо.
Пожалуйста.
Go ahead, please. In your view, what are the future plans in terms of developing space tourism? Because there are going to be a lot of people wanting to see the ISS. So what would be the sequence and scheduling? And would you like, for example, to raise the price given the competition and the interest? Competition for the honor to see the station. On the example of Gregory Olsen, we saw how much importance people place on going to space at any age and how determined they are and how much they fight for that dream. I believe that that is not a problem, but the problem is only in the quantity of vehicles that we have to bring tourists to the ISS at this time and in the future to some other station. At this time, yes, we have a waiting list. We have a queue of tourists waiting to fly from different countries. There are some amongst our compatriots, at least people who would be willing to do that, and we are going to look into those candidates as need arises and also in line with our technical capabilities. Thank you.
Еще вопросов нет?
Any more questions? More questions? This is the second round of questions. To follow up on the space tourists, at the Roscosmos site we saw information about a Japanese space tourist, and a week ago Nikolai Fedorovich and Alexei Borisovich mentioned that there were no queues, so things were being discussed but not being resolved. So what about the Japanese tourist? Is he standing in line to pay the money? I could, of course, reassure you that we have a lot of people who are willing, so to speak, to window shop, but there are not that many people standing at the ticket windows, and so there are a lot of things that need to be talked about, and everybody who's willing is, of course, welcome to study their own capabilities in terms of the possibility of flying, and we'll study ours.
Нет больше вопросов.
Any more questions? Olgas, go ahead. Again, maybe Nikolai Nikolaevich would say, what about the effect of Gregory Olsen? He wanted to be of use to the European Space Agency, so was his flight fruitful? Was his program successful? We are going to process the results and see whether he was successful and to what extent. We are moving from tourism to commercial cosmonaut. Tito, the first one of them, was purely a tourist, but Olsen is already saying, I'm not a tourist, I have a program to complete. And I believe that in the future, this type of flight and the market of services for transporting people to space, including scientists who would be working on experiments, and we need to work out our health requirements and move to new type of piloted vehicles that would reduce the burden on on cosmonauts, and then we, I believe, would increase the number of commercial travelers manifold. Thank you all very much, and have a good morning.